Hi, this is Guy, and this will be your consumer review of Davidson Properties Incorporated, a property management company in San Antonio, Texas. But first, a little humor, your real estate joke of the day. What form of birth control do property managers use? Their personalities. So before we start our actual review, you might be asking yourself a couple questions. Why do I need to research my property manager? Aren't they all the same? Well, just like any company, property management companies differ from company to company on how they practice and how they do business. So the short answer, whether you're an owner or a renter, is no, they're not all the same. And you doing your research as a consumer may mean the difference between hiring him and hiring her. Or if you're an investor, spending this much and this much. So how do I review? Well, I've been in real estate for about 8 years, and I only review companies I've done business with. I've actually done business with Davidson for a couple of years. I use a 5-star review method, and I look at it from 3 different aspects. First, the cost to use the company. How much does it cost me to do business with Davidson Properties? Second, their customer service. How is it dealing with them? And third, services to the property. How do they take care of my property? First, we're going to take a look at the cost. Davidson Properties charges a 50% commission on the first month's rent for all new tenants, plus 10% of the monthly rent for the remainder of the lease. Now, you might think this is expensive if you're new to the real estate industry, but this is actually average, and this is one of the things I actually liked about Davidson Properties. They're right on the standard for this, so this is right in the middle. However, digging a little bit deeper into their contract, you realize they do charge additional maintenance fees. They charge a 10% commission on all repairs. So something to think about. If you have a leaky sink and you have to send a plumber out to take a look at that sink and he charges you $100, you can expect to spend around $110. That extra $10 goes to Davidson for calling that plumber up. Now that's in addition to the 10% of your monthly rent that you have to pay them in order for their services. So these things might be able to add up. Shop around. Not all companies in San Antonio charge this, so it might be worth spending a little bit of time online and taking a look at that. Because even though a leaky sink might not be that big a deal, let's take a look at a more expensive example. Let's say your air conditioner breaks. If your estimated cost of parts and labor is $5,000, if you used a company that does not have this service charge, you can expect to spend around $5,000. However, if you're using Davidson, that 10% service charge is $500, which adds up to $5,500. Now, where does that extra money come from? If you're the owner, it comes out of your pocket. And if you're the tenant, you're just hoping that when that lease comes up, the owner isn't going to pass it on to you by raising your rent. So just something to think about before signing on with Davidson, whether you're an owner or a renter. Finally, termination fees. You owe management fees for the rest of the current tenant's lease, regardless of the reason you stopped doing business with them. Again, something to look at. So let's say you do business with Davidson for 2 years. At the end of those 2 years, your contract is up and you're thinking, I might try a different business just to see what it's like. See how they do business. Well, if you have a tenant in there and that tenant's lease goes for another 6 months, you owe Davidson their management fees for those additional 6 months. So again, something to think about. Shop around. Not all companies charge this. Overall, as you might imagine, I ended up giving 1 star out of 5 for the review of cost. Especially if your house is getting a little bit older, you'll find that these service charges add up. And there are companies out there that you can hire that simply charge you that 10% fee flat for each month and don't charge you a service fee for each additional maintenance. So again, it might be worth shopping around. Next, we'll take a look at customer service. Now for me, I found it often required multiple emails to get a response from them. Now this is my most valuable asset, so when I ask a question, I expect a prompt response. And I found that lots of times, I may get a response that same day, but it might take a couple days or even a week later, and I didn't particularly care for this. Also, when I talked to them, I didn't find them particularly friendly. This is my most valuable asset, and this is what I am paying you to do. So for me, customer service was a big one. However, a caveat to this, something to think about, if you live in the area or if you're retired, you have a little bit of time on your hands, this might not be that big a deal. It was a big deal to me because I moved around a lot, but again, it depends on your own specific situation. So don't just jump to conclusions based on my opinion. It's just something to think about and take into consideration. So again, I ended up giving them 1 star out of 5. Might not be that low for you. Just depending on your own situation, if you have extra time on your hands, it might not be a big deal. Finally, we'll take a look at the service to the property. This is where Davidson starts to redeem themselves a bit. They did a pretty good job of handling the service and repairs for the property. They kept it in upkeep and they gave me my monthly rent check on time every month. I had no issues with them on this. One caveat I'll give you though is remember, if you have a large repair project, Ask them for bids from multiple contractors on those repairs so you can shop around and get the best possible price. In my experience, they didn't always do this without you asking them to do it. So just something to think about if you currently use Davidson Properties. In the end, I gave them a 3 out of 5 stars. Not above and beyond, but right in the meaty part of that steak. Exactly what you would think if you hire a property manager. They manage your property, they order repairs if you need them to, and they get you your rent check as necessary. So just to review, cost. Like I said, the cost for me was the main reason I stopped doing business with Davidson Properties. There are good companies out there in San Antonio that don't charge you that 10% service fee on all maintenance. Remember, especially as you start to get older and you start looking at those bigger repairs, that will add up. Second of all, customer service. Customer service is an important one for me, but it might not be for you. If you have a lot of time in your hands, this might not be very important, but I found lots of times I was waiting for emails or phone calls that I didn't really want to be waiting for. And finally, the service of the property. Like I said, this is where they redeemed themselves a bit. They always serviced the property, kept it in good repair, so I had no issues with them on that. So what was my overall rating? My overall rating for Davidson Properties was a 1.5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, those things add up. Might think it's a bit harsh, but what are some things we can look at to improve that rating for the future? What Davidson could do is, first of all, get rid of their 10% service fee for maintenance calls. My dad always told me, never trust someone who writes their own paycheck out of your bank account. Second, get rid of the termination fees and stand on their own merit. If you have a good reputation, people will want to do business with you, and they won't want to terminate their contracts with you. Instead, replace it with a flat fee of $300 for their convenience. And finally, spend a little time improving that customer service that we talked about. Again, like I said, this is just my opinion based on my own experiences with Davidson Properties. I recommend you get online and do some research. Take a look at Google, Yelp, and other review sites before you make your decision. But like I said, if there's one thing to take away today, it is to spend the time doing research before you sign a contract, okay? Shop around, because not all companies charge for the same things, all right? Do your own research, folks. And again, enjoy being an American, the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Get on here and write your own reviews. As long as they're true and based on your own experiences, they're good to go. Until next time, please take the time to take care of your most valued asset, and have a nice day.